Welcome to Your Mac Life for Wednesday, the 23rd day of July, 2014. This is show 1017. Yes, 30 seconds in, I've already screwed it up. I'm Shawn King. Thank you guys very much for joining me here on the show, whether you're listening to us live or via the archive. We always appreciate however you choose to listen to the show. Later on, we'll be talking to our friend Jim Dalrymple from The Loop at loopinsight.com. And Brian Monroe, who's in our IRC chat room, had a brilliant idea. Just replay the interview I did with Jim 3 months ago after Apple's financials. It's going to be the same. Apple makes buttloads of money. Apple doesn't sell as many iPads as people think they should. Apple sells buttloads of iPhones and buttloads of Macs, and they're doomed. And you should stop supporting Apple. It's ridiculous. It's just a never-ending cycle. It's just constant. It's like the whole tech community and analyst community just forgets what they wrote 3 months ago, and how if it was wrong 3 months ago, then it's going to be wrong now. It's going to continue to be wrong. P. Booth in the IRC chat room says, wow, the audio is out of sync. Out of sync, where are you listening to it, P. Booth? Are you on YouTube? As we said before, YouTube is going to have a sync issue, so that might be the problem. Thanks, Sly. Sly just gave me a TMI, and why not just say you're a machine? Yeah, thanks, Sly. Appreciate your support. What else? So we're going to talk about Apple's financials. We're going to talk about some rumors. We're going to talk about things that happened, that didn't happen, and later on in the show, in our starting point photography segment, we're going to be talking about selfish selfies and how you can take, if not necessarily better selfies, but different selfies. There was a story in the news about some idiot girl taking selfies of herself at Auschwitz, which is just, who raised you? Wolves? How can you be so messed up to think that that would be an appropriate thing to do in that place? Mind-boggling. But I had a comment, I talked to a friend on the weekend, and they were saying that they like taking selfies. And, you know, part of my bias is I'm not a selfie guy. Not with this face. This is not a selfie face, okay? So I've never been really big into taking selfies. I'll do it occasionally with a friend in front of a monument of some kind, but in general, no. But I found these two really cool apps I want to tell you guys about that make selfies a little more fun and maybe a little less selfish. So we'll talk about that later on the show. We're also going to be giving away some prizes thanks to the nice folks at MacFun, macfun.com, joby.com, epson.com, oloclip.com, lowpro.com, backblaze.com, and pixelmator.com. Thanks to all those great companies for supporting Your Mac Life and Starting Point Photography. By the way, if you're in the Vancouver area, let me know. I've got three classes, at least 2 classes. We're going to be doing at the beautiful Van Dusen Gardens here in Vancouver in October. We're doing the Starting Point Photography, Photography Secrets Revealed here in Vancouver for 2 dates in Vancouver and 1 date in Prince George at the middle of September. If you want any more details about those kind of things, go to our website at startingpointphotography.com and you can find out more information, or send me an email to Shawn@yourmaclifeshow.com. As always, if you have any questions or comments or anything like that for the show, if you're listening live on air at yourmaclifeshow.com, or during the week to Shawn@yourmaclifeshow.com, join us in the IRC chat room. We love getting folks in the IRC chat room because we always say half the fun of the show is in the IRC. We're using the servers at irc.chat-solutions.org, and we're in the Pound Your Mac Life channel. I gotta get my beverage. A little tickle in my throat. So Apple's announced the OS X beta. Yay! How many of you are going to rush out tomorrow, grab the OS X beta, and install it on your machines? Send me an email to onair@yourmaclifeshow.com. There's some tips and tricks about dealing with betas in general. The first thing you always want to do is to make sure that you've got a full and complete backup of all your data. Ideally, you'd want to have a whole separate machine to run your beta stuff on. just because it's safer that way, it's easier that way, it's less hassle that way. Rather than trying to do a install of this kind of stuff on your what they call production machine or your main machine, it's always better to do it on separate machines. Failing that, if you've got your computer partitioned or an external hard drive, you can install them. That's a better idea too, to do it that way. The other thing is understand what you're getting into when it comes to any beta, but certainly a system software beta. It's called beta for a reason. There are going to be bugs. Could potentially be bugs so bad that they would crash your computer. Now, it's not going to happen, but theoretically, potentially, that could happen. That's why Apple has these beta programs, to find out those issues before they get out to the average everyday consumer. So make sure your expectations are of buggy software. That software that's going to crash. I've heard from several people that in certain conditions, Safari is very, very buggy and very crashy. The other thing is, do not get involved in a beta program unless you're actually going to give feedback to the vendor, the manufacturer, the developer, in this case, Apple. If you're just going to run Yosemite beta just for the fun of it, don't bother, because you're wasting everyone's time. You want to be the kind of person who's willing to tell Apple, hey, in this situation, this is what happened. And Apple makes it fairly easy to report those kinds of bugs and give that kind of feedback. But if you're not going to do that, not willing to do that, you're wasting everyone's time just messing around with Yosemite beta. The other thing is, do not, oh my God, do not bitch about buggy software when you're running OS X beta. Say you've got your favorite app and it runs just fine under Mavericks. You then try to run it under OS X and it keeps crashing. Don't go to the Mac App Store or the iTunes App Store and write a negative review. Don't go to your blog and write, this is a piece of crap software. Don't do that. Tell the developer, tell Apple about these issues. Do not complain about buggy software when you're running, by its very nature, a buggy system software. That's just stupid. And we will mock you unmercifully. Also, do not pay much attention. If you're not going to run the Yosemite beta, pay zero attention to any reviews of OS X Yosemite. Anyone reviewing beta software is a freaking moron. I'm looking at you, Mashables. You don't review beta software. By its nature, a review is of finished software. So you can tell people, go buy this, or don't go buy this. You can't give that recommendation on a piece of beta, because it could change. I mean, it could significantly change between now and, say, late September, when Apple releases Yosemite as a full version of the software. Apple's got 2.5 months, almost 3 months to make changes. The OS X Yosemite beta will probably go through at least 4 revisions between now and when it gets released in late September. Why is Mashable reviewing it now? It's not a review. It may be a, hey, look at this kind of thing. They call it a review, and that makes them morons. Just completely leave it alone if you're not willing to get involved in the feedback of the beta program, if you're not willing to do the work that's required of being involved in a beta program. It's not going to kill you to wait 2.5, 3 months for fairly stable software. Don't be wasting all of our times by complaining about it on mailing lists and on Facebook and, oh, this software is crap, this is garbage. Just don't. It's just not worth it. It also annoys the hell out of the rest of us. I don't know if I'm going to run the beta yet or not. I don't see anything compelling enough. And I've got external hard drives and I've got partitions that I could install it on. But gone are the days when I need and want to play around with buggy software just to be the first guy on my block to play with it. I don't care that much. I've read a lot about it. I know what to expect from Yosemite, and there's nothing in Yosemite that makes you go, wow, I'd love to try that right now. Now, don't get me wrong, there's all kinds of cool stuff in Yosemite. and I will certainly install Yosemite as soon as I can when it comes out. But when it comes to the beta, there's not that much there that makes me think that I want to use it right away. By the way, you can go to Apple's website, appleseed.apple.com, to sign up for the beta program. You probably won't be able to get in now. Apple's limiting this to the first million people, and that's probably already gone by now because they announced this at WWDC. A lot of folks would have already signed on to the beta. So you may, if you're waiting this long, you may not be able to get involved. The beta program, by the way, is free, as Apple's FAQ says. You don't have to pay to be a developer now. The developers get a different version of all this kind of stuff, so you don't need to pay for anything. But yeah, you got to remember that this is going to be pre-release software. And if you want to, you can check it out. Matchables.com has got the Mac Never Looked So Good OS 10 Yosemite Beta, and it's a good write-up. But they shouldn't be calling it a review, and they called it a review on their Twitter site. Brian Monroe says, we know what's in the beta, so there really is no point in running the beta now. That's kind of true. You know, for the most part, if you read enough about this stuff, you can find out very easily what's going to be in the beta and what's going to be in the final version. The other thing about it, too, is very interesting. Apple reiterated the fact that if you join the beta program, you theoretically can't talk about the software. You can only talk about the things that Apple has already previously announced. So if you find some really cool thing in the beta, theoretically, you're not allowed to tell anybody about it. Now, everyone's going to. Apple is not going to sue you in your blog for saying that this does this in the beta, because Mashables and TUAW and Macro, all those kind of guys are going to do it, and they're not going to get in trouble. So don't worry about that. But that is a legally binding agreement that you're signing with Apple when you sign up for the beta. So if that's a concern for you, then keep that in mind. Later on the show, we'll be giving away some prizes thanks to the nice companies who support your Mac life: MacFun, Joby, Epson, Oloclip, Lowpro, Backblaze, Pixelmator. We're also going to be talking about selfies. But up next, we're going to talk to our good friend Jim Dalrymple from The Loop at loopinsight.com about Apple's financials. This is your Mac Life. Welcome back, folks. I am Shawn King, joining our phone now with our good friend Jim Dalrymple from The Loop at loopinsight.com. Jim, how you doing?
I'm doing good. How are you?
I am good. You have a good week?
I did have a good week. I'm going to see Motley Crue tonight.
Nice. Did you see that story about Motley Crue and the photographers?
No.
It's a photography story, so it wouldn't be naturally of interest. But apparently, if you are a approved photographer, approved by Red, White, and Crew, which is Motley Crue's production company, you have to sign over the rights to your photographs to Motley Crue, and you can't use them without Motley Crue's permission.
Huh.
Isn't that weird? Like,
Wow.
this is not unusual either. This has happened before. It happened with Lady Gaga. It's happened with Britney Spears. You know, the official photographers, the guys you'll see up front taking photos, they have to sign the rights of their photos over to Motley Crue. I'm sorry. Go screw yourself, Crue.
Yeah, that's odd.
Speaking of music,
Wow.
I saw you posted up on the Loop, loopinsight.com. The iTunes Festival Apple has announced is going to be again in September in London. I was amazed that you didn't tweak on what I think is the biggest story, Robert Plant.
You know what? It wasn't there. The site wasn't live when I posted.
Oh, okay.
And I went back later. I looked at the site because somebody in Twitter said something about Robert Plant. And I thought, no, I would have seen that.
Yeah, no kidding.
And he was on the site, but he wasn't in the press release.
Are you going to try to get over there again this year?
I got to find out when Robert Plant is playing, and I'm going to try and be there.
Yeah, no kidding. Out of that, although I will say, this is, to me, a better lineup. I like this lineup better than I did last year. Blondie, Chrissy Hynde. I've always loved Chrissy Hynde. I'd love to see Chrissy Hynde in concert. Now, she's not going to be with the Pretenders, but she'll be playing some Pretender songs. But yeah, Robert Plant would be, to me, the biggest one to see out of that bunch.
I mean, Robert Plant is so amazing as a singer and a performer.
Does that make us just a couple of old farts, though?
Well, yeah, maybe. But still, I would put Robert Plant up against anybody today.
I
take
agree.
Robert Plant in his prime and anybody today, yeah. I'd take Robert Plant now for that matter.
Yeah,
but the thing that concerned me was that Robert would do all his solo stuff and no Zeppelin stuff, and I really want to see some Zeppelin stuff.
That's an interesting problem for a lot of artists that have that kind of what's it called, back history or back whatever it is. Prince has the same issue. I'm sure Paul McCartney has the same issue. Elton John, all those guys have got such a huge catalog that, depending on why they're doing it, some of them just want to play their new stuff, and their fans get mad at them because they don't play, Prince playing Little Red Corvette or Elton John playing Benny and the Jets kind of stuff. They probably get tired of those songs after a while, but us as fans demand they play them. So most people would probably want to go see Plant and have them just do Zeppelin songs, right?
Well, it was interesting. Somebody responded on Twitter and said that he just saw Plant a few months ago or a few weeks ago, and half of the show was dedicated to Zeppelin. Yeah,
that's our listener, Marco Mendez. He's in the IRC chat room right now. He says Plant played in Sao Paulo about 2 years ago. Half the concert featured Zepp stuff. You could do that. That'd be fine, wouldn't it?
Oh yeah.
And the other thing is too that folks, we talked about this before. Jim was there last year. The thing that continues to amaze us is that these are free concerts done in small-ish venues. The venue you were at was what, about 2,000 people, if that?
I think, actually, I looked this year when I was writing that story, and it said that there's like 3,000 standing room.
Yeah.
And 2,000 sitting.
Okay.
But the sitting areas are for, like, I don't know, Apple VIPs or record labels or, the band's entourage or, whatever it is. So basically it's a 3,000 standing room place.
Yeah, and it's all in the same place. The what they call the Camden Historic Roadhouse. It's an amazing space from everything I've heard and from what you told us last year. This is an incredible concert, and hopefully Apple will bring. And this is the other thing we talked about too, Jim, is that we contrasted and compared this to the South by Southwest stuff. And South by Southwest stuff is, first of all, the South by Southwest is only a week, so the festival is only a week, but it's a smaller venue. They have smaller kind of bands. Now, have you heard any sense from Apple that they're going to be bringing a full-size iTunes Festival to America at any point in time? They've only doing these big ones in London. Have you ever heard from anyone, any contacts at Apple, that this is a possibility of bringing a full-blown iTunes Festival to America?
I haven't heard a thing, to be honest. I was last year in Austin, I was just happy to have iTunes Festival.
yeah, exactly. That was the first time, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. So maybe this is maybe that's the first step into them bringing a full-blown iTunes Festival to America. I'd love to see more people get involved in these kind of things. I love the idea.
I wonder if that would cost more being in America.
Well, it doesn't cost anything now because it's free for showgoers. It's and the other thing too, folks.
No. I mean, if it would cost Apple more to put the show on for 30 days here.
Why? I think it would be no more, no less than London, don't you think?
I don't know.
Yeah. Let's move on. We'll do this real quick because it's so repetitive. Apple announced their financials on Tuesdays. Sold lots of money. Made lots of money. Made lots of revenue. Lots of iPhones sold. The only thing negative, and even then, it's amazing that we think this is a negative. iPad sales are definitely slowing. Yet they still sold over 13 million iPads in 3 months.
Yeah.
And yet, this is a sign of the company's doom once again. Tim Cook doesn't know what he's doing. Fire Tim Cook. Hire Johnny Ive. Blah, blah, blah. It's. Why don't these people realize it's insane? We have to have the same conversation every 3 freaking months.
Yeah, and with the same people.
Exactly. It's right. It's the same morons. It's the CNETs and the Chip Chowdhuries and the same idiots who said the exact same things 3 months ago to the day when Apple sold even fewer iPads than they did this quarter. 13 million iPads? You go up to any company, HTC, Xiaomi, Sony, Samsung, and say, hey, would you like to sell 13 million iPads? Yeah, which body parts do you want me to cut off?
Yep.
Every one of them would just kill for those kinds of sales. And yet, for some reason, because it's Apple, we think they're doomed. Doomed, I tell you. Go ahead.
I think that's a good point. I believe you retweeted this. That, Apple, the iPad has been on such a roll with sales that you just expect it to continue on that roll with sales. And sometimes those sales boosts are so spectacular that they're unsustainable.
There have been a lot of really good commentaries from our friend Ben Bajarin at Tech Pinions, from GigaOM, places like that have got some really interesting insights as to why this is. When you read this stuff, it starts to make sense. One of the things is as they say, the refresh cycle on the iPad is not what it is for an iPhone. And I hadn't really thought about that until Ben started talking about it a few months ago. And I realized he's right. I mean, when's the last time? Now, Jim, you might be a little bit different because you're more involved in this kind of stuff. But do you agree with that people don't refresh their iPad? They don't buy an iPad every year or every 2 years like they would an iPhone?
I would agree with that.
And I think part of it, too, is as Brian in the IRC chat room pointed out during the pre-show, it's because the iPhone's subsidized. I can get a brand new iPhone for $200, but if I want a brand new iPad, it's at least $500.
Well, and I think people are looking at their iPads more as a computer these days, certainly more than they would a phone, even though a phone is a computer as well.
Why would that make a difference?
Well, because they don't think about refreshing their computer as often as they think about refreshing a phone.
And they also don't have to either. I don't think there is the compelling reason. For example, the new version of the iPad doesn't have the Touch ID on it. Not that we expected it to, but some folks who have an iPhone and maybe a 2-year-old iPad will think, well, I'm not going to upgrade the iPad until it has that cool Touch ID thing on it that my iPhone does.
Right.
Mark Mendez says, in the IRC, iPads are a victim of their own self-sufficiency. Entire companies still use the iPad 2 and are satisfied. I deal with lots of people who absolutely cannot see a reason to update.
True.
There's no big hurry also for people to upgrade to the iPad. That being said, there's no doubt that if and when Apple comes out in a year's time or 2 years' time, a compelling iPad, they will buy one. It's not like I don't think a lot of people are putting their iPad aside and never using it again. I think people are still using their iPads as almost as much as, say, the first month that they got it. But there's nothing compelling in a new iPad. I mean, my first iPad, I had one of the original iPads in 2010, but I didn't upgrade till 3 years afterwards. I didn't upgrade till last October, when there was something compelling in the new version of the iPad that made me want to upgrade.
I think that there's something else going on here too, in that people look at the iPad as being a secondary device.
Sure.
Okay, I've got a phone, I've got a computer. Okay, yeah, I'll pick up this iPad. And then when they get it, they realize how much they use it and how much they like it. So the first purchase, I mean, you heard Tim saying that a huge percentage of people that were buying iPads were buying them for the first time.
Yeah, 50%.
So, but when you look at phones, you know, you see that as something you use every day. And wait, I can upgrade and buy a new one? Yeah, I'm going to do that.
Yeah.
Because I use this all the time. And they don't know that they'll use the iPad.
Yeah,
so
that's right.
I think that has something to do with it as well.
There are two really interesting bits of info in the conference call that I thought was fascinating. One, Tim Cook said that Apple's acquired 29 companies in the last 9 months. 29 companies. We haven't heard about 20 of them, and that doesn't even include Beats.
Yeah.
That to me was.
Well, I've acquired 30. I've acquired 30. So.
But they were all beer. but they were all beer based. So what do we know? The other thing was, and this is, I think, a real. You know, Cook has been saying for at least the last 6 months, 8 months, maybe a year. Oh, we got some great stuff coming in the pipeline. I can't wait to show it all to you. And after a while, you just go, yeah, yada yada yada. Tim, we know. But Apple has ramped up their R&D expenses to 4% of the revenue, a level it has not reached since 2006, in the 2 quarters before the first iPhone launched. In absolute terms, Apple is investing $420 million more per quarter than it was a year ago. That, to me, is very, very interesting.
It is, isn't it?
That, to me, is really, when you compare the fact that, because Apple's never been one of those companies. One of the things that a lot of financial analysts look at is R&D expenditures, and every other company spends infinitely more money than Apple does in R&D. So when Apple ramps up R&D to such a huge extent, you got to look at that and go, hey, why are you doing this? And if it's similar to what was happening in 2006, we got to assume this fall is going to be magical, I think. I'm not saying what's going to be announced. I don't know what's going to be announced this fall, but I think this is going September, October for Apple is going to be huge from a product announcement point of view.
Yeah, I think so too.
The other thing that we the other thing that we saw with regards to Apple's announcements, the financial announcements, and I thought it was surprising that Tim Cook said it this way. Tim Cook said he was surprised at how well Apple was doing in China.
Well, I mean, come on, look how well they did.
You still there?
I'm here.
Okay, sorry, you said just how well they did and sort of left it off there. Yeah, they did amazingly well, but I'm surprised that they're surprised by that, because you would think that with all the talk they've had and we've had about Apple in China, that you'd expect the revenues and the sales to be huge in that country because of the growing middle class in China.
Yeah, but sometimes, I mean, you open up in the world's second largest economy, you start opening things up, yeah. and you know, you start firing on things, and all of a sudden all this money starts rolling in. I mean, they probably had to open another bank account or something.
No kidding. So that's, I mean, that's,
you know, hey, you people over in China, go buy another couple wheelbarrows for the money.
There is a teeny tiny little itty bitty minuscule bit of almost bad news when it comes to iPad sales, but overall everything else is great for Apple, and it's going to be great for them going through the summertime. I'm going to let you go real quick, Jim. Well, I got one question though. You saw the story. Rory McIlroy won the U.S. Open. His dad won $171,000 betting on his kid when he was 15 years old at 500 to 1. When you're a kid, when Michael was 15, what would you bet on him to do by the time he was 25?
Oh wow. I don't know, kill somebody? I don't know. No.
Jim, I'm going to let you. I'm going to let you go on that.
Michael's actually a very good kid, so he wouldn't do that.
That's right. I'm going to let you go on that, Jim. Enjoy the concert, and we'll talk to you next week.
Thanks a lot, Shawn.
All right, see you, buddy. Bye. Normally we have Jim on for a while longer, but like as he said, he's off to a Motley Crue concert, probably with his son. So good for him. Good for him and Michael for. I don't. You know what? I've never been a Motley Crue fan. I wouldn't go to a Motley Crue concert. I think I had the opportunity when they were big. I mean, now they're grandfathers. You know, they're just old, and I have no interest in. I didn't mind their music when, you know, back in the day. It was the hair metal, was it called? It was okay. It wasn't anything spectacular. But yeah, I don't think I'd go. I don't think I'd go to one of their concerts now. But, you folks with kids, what would you bet on your kid? 500 to 1. You're gonna drop $200 today, and in 10 years' time, what would you bet your kid would be able to accomplish in 10 years? Hopefully not killing somebody. Mosquito says China has its own Google, doesn't it? It doesn't have its own Google. It has a version of Google administered by Google, but that Google, lack of a better term, manipulates the search results to conform to the Chinese government's restrictions. But it's not like it's not like a Chinese-owned Google. Google still owns all the stuff. They just have to follow on the rules that the Chinese government has set forward. We had did you see the ad, the notebook people love ad that Apple posted up on YouTube? And I haven't seen it on TV yet. Really a neat ad that Apple posted, if only because of the way Apple did the ad. I think it's another example, and we've talked about it a dozen times. It's another way of another little data point that we can point to and say this is Tim Cook's Apple. This is a commercial I don't believe that Steve Jobs would ever have approved. For a number of reasons. Steve Jobs hated us users messing around with his pristine operating system and machines. He hated stickers. He hated this kind of customization. But people are still going to do it. You know, people are always going to want to personalize and customize, whether it be the operating system or their devices. So that's one example. The other thing is, when you watch the ad, look at how many of the machines are not pristine, are beaten up. I mean, there's some with significant road damage. I mean, they've got scratches and dents and bumps and bruises and all that kind of stuff. The other aspect of this, and Matthew Panzarini, let's see if I can find it. Matthew Panzarini pointed out that, yes, he did. Matthew Panzarini over at TechCrunch.com pointed out this is the first time he can remember. I think the first time I remember too, that you don't see the front of the machine in the advertisement. You don't see the screen. Now, I don't want to read anything into that, but it's an interesting way of looking at the change in Apple's advertising. Now, things we don't know is this an ad done by Apple's internal company, internal group that we've heard rumors about, or whether this is a TBWA Shy Day ad. I like it. It's kind of fluffy. It's not going to make anyone go out and buy a MacBook Air, I don't think. It's cute. I hope they don't expect it's going to make any sales, but it's a cute ad. Mike Werner over at TUAW did a breakdown of all the different stickers that are there that you can buy, and he listed where you can buy all the stickers. Brian Monroe's in the IRC chat room says, you do not see the front of the machine because the ad was about the stickers and people's love of the product. That coincides with a comment I saw on the website, on loopinsight.com. Stephen Fisher. Hang on, no, that's all right. Where'd it go? Where'd it go? Tim DeG, the thing about the stickers ad is that it's not about stickers. The stickers simply represent Apple users and tells how diverse the group is. So the ad makes the point about users without showing people. I like it a lot. That's a good point. That's not an unfair point. I wouldn't disagree with you on that. It's just interesting. This is another way that Apple differentiates itself from other companies. Nothing about specs. nothing about RAM, nothing about hard drive size, nothing about any of the other kind of stuff that you see from other companies. This is Apple showing, as you guys have said, the users, who uses these products, and therefore allows the viewer to be one of those users. It's something that you hear about in advertising a lot, that you want to have your potential customers identify with the product, with the people in the ad. And for almost all of us, there's at least one sticker there that we would go, oh yeah, I'd love to have that. That one was cool. I like that sticker. And this is a question I ask in the Loop story. Do you put stickers on your machines, whether it be your desktop machine or your laptop or your iPad for that matter? Does anyone put stickers on them? I did in the past. I haven't now. And one of the reasons why I don't now is I don't go anywhere with my laptop. I'm fairly stationary. So I think one of the things you do with stickers is you want to identify your laptop, but you also want other people to see your stickers. It's a bit of a vanity thing. You want other people to see your decoration, your art on these stickers, and therefore you want to have them identify with you or understand you or make a judgment about you. Oh, he's whimsical, or he's a tough guy, or whatever it might be. But because my laptop doesn't go anywhere anymore, I haven't put stickers on mine for a long time. I like the Apple logo. I was one of those people that had the old PowerBooks, and it always annoyed me that the Apple logo was upside down when the lid was up. When it was closed, the logo was fine. But when you put the lid up, the logo was upside down. It always annoyed the hell out of me. So I was so happy when Apple flipped the logo around so it was right side up when the lid was open. I don't want to cover that up. I don't want to cover up the Apple logo. I love the Apple logo. I always have. I always thought it was an elegant, wonderful logo. Send me emails to onair@yourmaclifeshow.com if you want to tell me about anything that we've talked about tonight, if you have any other comments about some of the things that we've discussed. And let me know, do you put stickers? Send me a picture of your iPhone your laptop with stickers on it. I'd love to see what kind of stickers folks are having. Hiker BC, anything that goes on my machines is for protection only. Yep, I see that. No sticker, Swan Song, no stickers on my MacBook Pro, none on my car either. Mosquito, if I was regularly going to be in a public environment where it would be hard to tell computers apart, yes, I'd personalize it. Susan Gare, I don't put stickers on anything except a hard-shell suitcase I own. I wonder how much of this is, too, the idea that it's no longer, I don't want to say unusual, but rare to see Macs in public. Nowadays, us old-timers can remember walking through an airport lounge or walking through an airport terminal gate and seeing another Mac laptop and a PowerBook and just going, wow, he's got one too. And you might even go over and talk to the person, or someone sitting in a coffee shop that had a PowerBook. You might talk to them. Nowadays, everyone's got them. Nowadays, if I see someone with a Dell in a coffee shop, I want to go over and ask them, dude, who did this to you? Why are you such a sad person? Everyone else has, it's unusual to see a Dell or a Toshiba or an IBM laptop, Lenovo now, laptop in coffee shops. To me, it's all iPads and iPhones and MacBooks of various descriptions. So maybe it's just we don't need to differentiate ourselves anymore. Maybe that, and we've talked about this before on the show, that community is no longer there. And then that community doesn't need to be there anymore. We don't need to band together to help save Apple. Apple doesn't need saving anymore. So the community is sort of flitted off and no longer needs to have that sense that it used to, which is to a certain degree sad. I mean, it's certainly a different time to be a Mac user now than it was back in the late 90s and early 2000s. Brian Monroe mentioned this during the pre-show of the show, and I wanted to bring it up again. Apple has filed a patent for a smartwatch. Ooh. Okay, first of all, the story's wrong. Apple did not file the patent for a smartwatch. Apple was awarded the patent for a smartwatch. They filed the patent 3 years ago. So don't read too much into this. This is a 3-year-old document that everyone is reporting on. So Brian Monroe said, yeah, just like what was said during that awesome film you started in Mac-Heads. Okay, first of all, Mac-Heads was not awesome. Okay, Mac-Heads was a terrible movie. It had spelling mistakes in the subtitles, not subtitles, but in the lower thirds. It literally had spelling mistakes. They misrepresented a lot of things in Mac-Heads. That it wasn't very good. Okay, so I'm saying that as someone who's in the movie. And what you're referring to, Brian, is I've always said, don't love Apple as a company. They're just a corporation. That's all they really are. They have no feelings towards you corporation-wise. Individual people may like you, but overall as a corporation, whether they're people or not, don't even get into that, doesn't really care about you on a personal level. The Macintosh community, on the other hand, used to. Now, it's going to be dependent on how you define community nowadays. But for the most part, the Macintosh community, if we define it as those who use Apple products, very amorphous nowadays. It's fluffy, it's light, it's cloudy. Whereas before, again, the 80s and 90s and early 2000s, it was just a core group of people that was just hardcore, but very passionate about it. There's less and less of those people nowadays. Anyway, so Apple has been awarded a patent for a SmartWatch. Now, they didn't call it the iWatch or iTime or anything else like that. And again, they did call it iTime. They didn't call it iWatch. Keep in mind that Apple patents stuff like every other company all the time. Okay? Patently Apple is an awful website, if only because they report on everything Apple does, as if it was going to happen. That's not true. Nowadays, you have to patent every single freaking thought you have in order to protect yourself and your company. So Apple patents a lot of things. IBM patents even more. IBM, I think, has patents like, I think I remember somewhere reading a third more than all other companies, technology companies combined in the United States. So patents don't always come to fruition. But on top of that patent story came the story that Apple and this is from my friend John Seff on Twitter. And John said, let me pull this up for you on Twitter, big news or epic trolling. It's a retweet from the Sullivan exclusive. Apple and Swatch working together on an iWatch. Okay, first of all, I don't think it's either. I don't think it's big news or epic trolling. I think that very much, and this is something that Brian and I talked about during the pre-show, this is very much like CarPlay. You know, Apple could have come up with CarPlay and then built their own car, the iCar, and put CarPlay into it, and then try to sell it. But it makes more sense for Apple to develop CarPlay and then go to every car manufacturer on the planet and say, hey, do you want this for your car? You license it from us. Give us $10 every car, $100 every car, whatever number it might be. It makes more sense for Apple to do that with the Audis and the Mercedes-Benzes and the Fords and Chevys and Ferraris of the world than it does with them trying to sell their own car. And the iWatch, the iBand, whatever it's going to be, it makes more sense, and we've talked about this on the show before, it makes more sense for Apple to develop the ecosystem for the device and then let the other companies fight over the fashion of it. Let them worry about the design. Let Swatch and Timex and every Swiss manufacturer in the world, Tissot and Rolex and Breitling, let all those guys figure out how to make a fashion statement out of Apple's ecosystem, whether it be fitness watches, whether it be home security, whether it be tracking devices, whether it be whatever. I think that's the way Apple is going. I've said this before. Apple is going to be building the ecosystem, not the watch itself. So this idea that VentureBeat has an exclusive of Apple and Swatch working together, it's not exclusive. They're going around for 6 months. These have been behind-the-scenes rumors for at least, they started ramping up about 3-4 months ago. A lot of folks don't realize there's all kinds of these rumors that get reported by these people who some people in the industry have known as rumors for months. They just don't talk about it because they're not important. It's always when some other Mickey Mouse third company comes up and goes, oh, this is, and a lot of us will go, yeah, not news. We knew about this months ago, but it's still then, as is now, wasn't important enough to actually write up. They say the tech giant is interested in pushing its iOS, iTunes, and HealthKit ecosystems to millions of our wrists. In this case, it's not particular about sharing the branding glory to do so. Not particular about sharing the branding glory to do so. I repeated that for a reason, because this is another example of how this is Tim Cook's Apple. These devices, let's say they turn on and off or need to be recharged. When you plug them in, an Apple logo will pop up, and that's the last time you'll see the Apple logo. It'll be a Swatch watch. It'll be a Timex watch. It'll be a Omega watch, or whoever it might be. You will not see Apple branding on this stuff. You'll see it on your iPhone, because these devices will work with your iPhone and your iPad and your Mac and your laptop and that kind of stuff. Apple's willing to give up that branding, where before Tim Cook, BTC, they weren't. They needed and wanted that branding. Apple no longer needs that kind of recognition. Everyone knows who Apple is already. Apple doesn't need the narcissism of seeing their logo on every device on the planet. So you won't see that kind of branding from Apple. But this is what's going to happen. This is what I was talking to Jim about. The idea that this fall is going to be huge for Apple from a product announcement point of view. There are going to be a whole bunch of really, really interesting things, products and services and ecosystems, hardware and software, that Apple's going to announce in September and October of this year, in time for Christmas and time for Thanksgiving, American Thanksgiving. So keep an eye out. It's going to be fun. It's going to be cool. Let me just get this set up. So this is the starting point photography segment of the show. Again, I want to say thanks very much to the wonderful folks at MacFun. By the way, if you go to, let's pull this up. Where did it go? StartingPointPhotography.com. Obviously, that's the website I want you to go to. stphotography.com. The front page story there is a snap peel. Make those background objects in your photos go away. You guys have heard me talk before about snap peel from the folks at MacFun. Great piece of software. And it's only $12. Go to the website, startingpointphotography.com, their first story. Make those background objects in your photos go away. It's really kind of cool. It doesn't work for everything, but it works for a surprisingly large amount of things. So please go to the website at yourmaclifeshow.com and check out that story. And again, it's only $12. If you click on the link, the link that I've got on the site there is the My Mac Store affiliate link, so I get a couple of pennies if you buy it there. But it's on Snappeel's website. I think it's $15. On that link, it's $11.99, $12. So buy it from there. So yeah, I want to say thanks very much to the nice folks at MacFun, macfun.com, Joby at joby.com, Epson at epson.com, Oloclip at oloclip.com, Lowpro at lowpro.com, Backblaze at backblaze.com, and Pixelmator at pixelmator.com. We're going to give away, on tonight's show, we're going to give away another copy of Pixelmator to a lucky listener. So I've been, as I said, I was talking to a friend over the weekend about selfies and how, again, I'm old school, I guess, and really dislike the idea of selfies because they just seem like such a narcissistic thing to do. And most people just they don't do them for any, like, in my mind, good reason. I know it depends on who you are and what you do and that kind of stuff, but this is just my own personal opinion. So they're asking about this stuff, and I've been using a couple of really neat apps. One of them is, let me just pick it, and these are both free apps. Hang on, let me just find out what the hell this one's called. It's called CamMe. Cam, C-A-M, me. Pull it up on it's the best app for taking selfies. It's not necessarily the best app for taking selfies, but it's interesting from the point of view of what it lets you do is it lets you turn on your camera to take a selfie, but I'm going to show you guys a screenshot of this because this is where it gets cool. Turn on reflectors, stretch to fit. Oh, I'm going to turn on mirroring. Hang on. Airplay, mirror on the wall. Okay, here we go. So, oops. So here's the interface of CamMe. So you can see in the upper right-hand corner there is a hand. What am I looking at? Oh, there we go. There you are. You guys are. Where are you guys? Right there. There is a hand, and the hand allows you. This is what allows you to take the selfie. And the cool thing is, the problem with selfies is you can only get a selfie from your arm's reach away. So if your arm's 3 foot long, you're only going to get a selfie that's 3 foot long, or this. But this one is kind of neat because it allows you to set the camera up somewhere, step back, and take like a full body selfie or a group selfie. So you see that hand up there? Now I'm going to see if this will work. Make sure I got this camera set up properly. So if I hold my hand up like this, you see how it turns into a fist? If I then make a fist, see the timer? 3, 2, 1. It takes a picture. I got to get back to the regular camera because this camera is messing me up. So what it's done is it's taken a picture because of that fist motion. Let me see if I can't do it again. Obviously, it's going to be able to see my fist. So you see that? So you see right up there, and 3, 2, 1. So it took the picture. And then you can go and look at the picture. Let me pull the picture up. And there's the pictures there. And then you can do all the usual things that you do with these pictures. You can email them to friends. You can do whatever you want to. Facebook them, tweet them, all the usual stuff. But the neat thing is you can get away from the camera. It doesn't have to be that distance. It doesn't have to be this. You can set it down somewhere, take a few steps back, and take that picture. I think it's kind of neat. I think it's a little bit different way of doing a selfie. You can get a group shot in there. You can frame it up better so you get a monument behind you or a particular bush or things like that. It's kind of a fun. Marcus Mendez, it's a full body selfie of Bodhi. Is a full body selfie of Bodhi. Dave, that's not a selfie. You have no proof anymore. Someone else took it. In mosquitoes, gestures. Yeah, it's gestures based. So it's kind of neat. So again, I think if I pull it up on the website again, is it free? I believe it is free. It's free. Free piece of software. So go grab it. CamMe, best app for taking selfies. So check that one out. Now the next one I've got to tell you guys about is one I've used for taking a different kind of selfie. This one is, put it up right there. This one allows you to do, it's called FrontBack. Again, let me see if I can't pull up the FrontBack is the name of the app. FrontBackMe is the website. I'll pull the website up here for you guys can see. And it says it is the world's most entertaining photo community. No, it's really not. I'm not letting you get away with that one. But what the app does is, so there you see it on the screen. And what it does is you click on the camera logo. And so you see there in the top half, it has the image that's going to happen. So the image you're going to take is in the top half of the picture. So you're someplace, right? You're at the Grand Canyon, and you want to take a picture. You then click on the big camera logo there you see in the center. So I'll do that. Click on that. Screen flashes. But now you see what happens on the bottom? Now I've got another. It took one picture with the back-facing camera, and now it's taking a picture with the front-facing camera. So now I'll click on that one, and it's taken the picture. So now what I've got, I can add captions, I can say where I am, I can post it to Facebook or Tumblr or whatever it might be. So there's the picture I've got. It's not a great picture, and I'm not saying it's you can be taking great pictures with these kinds of things, with any of these apps. But it gives you a little more flexibility in the kind of pictures that you can take. It allows you to do some different things rather than just the same old selfie that you see everyone else take. I'm always looking for different ways of doing the same thing. And this is kind of a neat, fun way of doing what we would normally see as a selfie. A little more interest, to me anyway, visually, on these two apps. You can get more people in them, you can get more things in them, and you can frame them, compose them. That's in my mind, one of the single most important things in photography is composition. So what happens is you can compose these images in ways that are different from every selfie you've ever seen. And front back, I also believe, let me just check it to make 100% sure, I think front back is available on the App Store. It's also free. So there you go. 2 free apps that you can download. CamMe, C-A-M-M-E, and FrontBack are the 2 apps that I would encourage you guys to check out if you like taking selfies, or if you have kids that like taking selfies, or anything else along those lines. Marcus Mendez is now saying, I shall name this photo as a doobly. Marcus is having fun, isn't he? Mosquito, the photo collage is gone. You mean the one behind me? It just moved. I just put up different photos. I'm not going to make you guys see the same thing every single week. I'm just doing different stuff behind me to get some visual interest behind myself. Send me email, as always, to onair@yourmaclifeshow.com. Doug Pasnack, I don't know if I ever sent you a message on this, but when you were giving away gifts during an anniversary show, I won a shell case, but never received the info to claim the prize. If it's too far gone to get the case, no worries. Doug, what case was it? Do you remember the name of the company? Because I don't, so you're going to have to help me out. Just going through my emails. Emails to Shawn at yourmaclifeshow.com. Jared Gordon writes, hey, Shawn, on your recommendation, I bought a year of Backblaze service and, of course, gave Your Mac Life the credit. Thanks for everything. Jared Gordon, thank you for doing that. I appreciate when folks mention us when they who's talking? All right, I got someone live on our. Is that Vito? Sorry, Vito. Got to mute you. Looks like Vito Mori in Prince George. Also, don't have the. Jeez. Yeah, that's Vito taking over our.
Oh, I'll leave.
Vito, shut up. And why are you watching the show, Vito? You're on vacation in Sydney, BC. Don't be watching us. Go enjoy your family and have your vacation. Silly boy. Yeah, emails to onair@yourmaclifeshow.com. I'm trying to find the name on this one. Charles says, I'm considering getting my MacBook Pro looked at. Will they be looking through my files and stuff? Nothing to hide, but I don't think anybody would want their files to be looked at. What do they do when they try to fix your problem? Yes, when you take your laptop, your computer, your iPhone, your iPad into the Apple Genius Bar, they could look through every one of your files unless you've got them password protected or locked in some way, shape, or form. Will they? No, they're not going to care. They're far too busy to be rooting through your hard drive looking for porn. Come on, be honest. That's what you're worried about. So if you're worried about that kind of stuff, back it up, wipe the hard drive, send it to the Apple Genius Bar. If you're worried about that stuff, put a password on things. You can get, there's apps that will allow you to password protect a document or password protect a folder. I wouldn't recommend using something like File Vault to password protect everything because they're going to need the password anyway. So don't do it that way. The other thing you can do is set up a separate new user on your MacBook and call that new user Genius Bar. And then you boot into that. And you would password protect your end of it, and so they would do it there. But for the most part, trust me, they don't care. A, they've already seen your porn. B, they have their own porn. They're not going to care. The vast majority of the geniuses don't care. I don't know that have we heard of any stories of, because I've heard about Best Buy, where they've gone through someone's hard drive and found the porn and posted it on Tumblr and things like that. I don't think I've ever heard of anyone at an Apple store doing that. So I don't think it's a very minor concern. Very, very minor concern. Take the stuff that you don't want them to see off the laptop. Protect it somehow. But for the most part, I really wouldn't worry about it. Donald Hall, I think your draws are great fun. I heard my name called for the Backblaze draw on the July 16th show. While it looks like a great service, I'm happy with my current backup scheme of Time Machine, Carbon Copy Cloner, and Dropbox for a few irreplaceable files. So please put the subscription back in the pool of prizes. In any case, I've already won a few times over the 10 or so years I'm listening to your show. I always look forward to downloading the podcast on Thursday morning and listening over the weekend. He said, P.S. You came within 200 yards of my house while passing through Lethbridge, Alberta last year on your motorcycle. That's cool, Don. That's fantastic. And Don from his website, Apps and More Software Design, appsandmore.com. All right, Don, you know what we'll do? We'll give it away to someone in the IRC chat room listening in live right now. Anyone? Let's see. I mentioned it on last week's show. And we'll get it just for those folks who are watching the video. I mentioned on last week's show what this image is. What is that image? You folks who are watching the show on the video and in the IRC chat room, let me know what is the name of this. Not the place. The place is easy. What is the name of this? Brian Monroe says it's a lighthouse. He is incorrect. It is not a lighthouse. Sherry, Halifax Citadel, incorrect. Although, Sherry, it is on the grounds of the Halifax Citadel. It's not poop, Sherry. So, sorry, that's incorrect, too. Mosquito says, damn, I heard this last week and don't recall it. If no one gets it in the next couple of seconds, I'll do a random prize draw in there. But yes, it's not out of, interesting. Dave D, you say, I can't even see the pic. It's out of frame. It's not out of frame. Dave, it's right there. Dave, are you watching via YouTube or Google Hangouts? Because everyone else can see it right in the frame right there. Hangouts. Is everyone else in Hangouts able to see Mosquito, widen your browser, Dave. That would be it. Jared, some clock tower in Canada. You're getting closer, Jared. You're getting closer. Well, that's weird, Dave. I wonder why you can't see it full frame. That's very strange. All right, we'll give it to Jared because Jared got the closest. Some clock tower in Canada. That is the old town clock in my hometown of Halifax, Nova Scotia, Canada. Jared, send me an email to Shawn at yourmaclifeshow.com, and I'll give you the code for the 3-month free version of Backblaze. Thanks to Donald Hall for passing that along to everyone else. I mentioned on last week's show we were talking about Disney with the Magic Bands, and Taylor Lowry corrected me. Do you get receipts when you buy stuff at Disney with Magic Bands? And Taylor Lowry's from Dallas, Texas says, yep, you do. Thanks very much for that, Taylor. Appreciate that. We mentioned on last week's show Les Posen, who sent that really funny, cute picture of him driving his car while Your Mac Life was on video on his iPhone. And I didn't even notice until he mentioned it. The Mazda he was driving takes the Bluetooth Google Hangouts metadata and showed it on the navigation screen, which was just mind-blowingly cool. It was very funny to see how many of you pointed out that Les needed a new cable. You geeks. You nerds. But he says, he sent me an email. Email is quite interesting too. Opens up a new area of practice for professional photographers, and the giving away of stuff is interesting too. It's a Creative Live class. Go to the website creativelive.com. They've got a really huge number of really cool free classes on a whole bunch of different things. But this one was about taking flight with drone photography and video. And I when I wrote back to Les, I said, yeah, thanks very much for that, but I haven't even gotten regular photography down, let alone start messing with drone photography. I have no interest in drone photography. Some of it's kind of cool. Sorry, I knocked over my iPad. Some drone photography is kind of cool, but I'm still working on this photography before I start going up in the air photography. So that's not something I'm ever going to have a whole lot of interest in. Bob Studer, there's nothing magic about the Magic Band. It's just an RFID band. All the data is stored on Disney's servers. All the RFID readers' locations are also known by Disney's servers as well. The band itself is completely dumb and has no sensors or displays any complex data. Thanks, Bob. Appreciate that. Got an email from Scott Randall of the Long Island Macintosh User Group, my favorite mug. He says, Shawn, do you have any thoughts on the new entry-level iMac? I think most people will spend the extra $200 to get what is essentially twice the computer. I only see this as being attractive to businesses buying large numbers of computers and only need it to perform tasks that do not require much CPU speed. Yeah, that's true. I can't remember who described it that way, but it was described by somebody as not underpowered and overpriced. It's got less power than its predecessor, and the price point is okay. This is not a workhorse machine. The new iMacs are designed. This is the machine you would get your kids for grade school or high school. This is the machine that maybe a liberal arts student in university would use to write up term papers. This is not a gaming machine. This is not a computationally intensive machine. If you're going to be doing video editing, this is not the new iMac is not the machine for you. Would I recommend it? I don't think so. I think the next version of it, the one with more RAM and a little bit more CPU, Apple's doing this. Apple's very, very smart about this. They're giving you this really, 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 really low price thing, and then for a few dollars more, they'll give you something that's significantly better. It's called loss leader. You know, companies have been doing this for years. They'll give you this thing that they've got on sale in the hopes that you come into the store and they can upsell you. No, Apple doesn't do upsell, but they can talk to you about the next version of it. So, yeah, it's not a bad machine. It's not something I'd want. I don't think it's anything that most of our audience would want. Tell me, have you guys have any interest in the new entry-level iMacs? I'd be willing to bet that most folks don't. Got a question. Has anyone completely moved away from, we're talking about cameras, has anyone completely moved away from full-frame DSLRs to mirrorless? What do you gain or miss besides the obvious weight and size? That's a good question. What do you miss? This is a mirrorless camera. It is significantly, this is the lovely Olympus OMD what's the hell? I can never get these names right. This is the OMD EM1 from Olympus. It's a great camera. You lose, on the good side, weight, physical size, much thinner than a DSLR. You're going to lose ISO. A mirrorless camera, because of the size of the sensor, is not going to have the extremely high ISOs that a upper-level DSLR will have. Same with shutter speeds. You're not going to be able to get the same 1/8,000th of a second shutter speeds that I can get on my Nikon D600. You are going to get different lenses that may not be as good as the lenses on a DSLR, depending on the lens, obviously. Image quality is going to be pretty much the same, given the size of the sensors. Oh, sorry. I'm surprised. I said this from the beginning, playing with the M1. I'm very impressed and very surprised at the high quality images I get from this camera. Certainly equivalent to what I'm getting out of the D600. It's a very, very good camera. Now, granted, it is the higher end of mirrorless cameras. That's a $1,400 camera, so it better get damn good images. The other thing you're going to lose from a DSLR versus a mirrorless, and these are all generalities, so take them with that. Your autofocus speeds and the number of autofocus points you're going to have on your camera are going to be less with the mirrorless one. So the overall speed is going to be slightly slower. You're probably not going to notice it a whole lot unless you're doing high-speed photography of race cars and things like that. But don't negate the physical size aspect. I mean, as much as I like this Olympus, I find it too small. I mean, I get two fingers on the grip there. The other two fingers under. If I try to jam three fingers in here, it's uncomfortable. So I shoot with two fingers. Whereas my D500 or D600, I get my whole hand there. And that's a personal choice. I'm not saying this is good for everyone. For some people, it's bad. But I want to be able to get my full hand on the camera. It feels more secure that way too. So losing some size is sometimes a bad thing too. So good question. Thanks very much for the question from Daniel. Thanks, Daniel. So let's do another prize draw. We said we were going to give away some more stuff. We'll give another copy of Pixelmator away, a great image editing software from the folks at pixelmator.com. If you think you need Photoshop, get Pixelmator first. Pixelmator, I think, is mostly $25 to $30, and it can do 75% of what Photoshop can do. And it's a great app. So if you have a chance to check it out. So I'm going to go to the folder of our subscriptions, of our virtual hat. If you haven't signed up, if you haven't gone to the website at yourmaclifeshow.com, and at the very top of the screen, filled in the entry form. It says Friends of YML at the top of the page. Fill that entry form in with your email address. It sends it to me. I drop your name into the virtual hat, and you can win prizes. You have to do that every month, though. If you're a subscriber to Your Mac Life, I do that on your behalf. So if you're at a website, left-hand side, subscribe to Your Mac Life for $2, $5, $10, $15, whatever. Even $2 is fine. $2, $1,000 you do that for $2, then I'm a happy camper. Subscribe for $2, comes out of your major credit card, your own PayPal account, whatever it might be, and I drop your name into the hat on your behalf. It's probably the easier way to do that, and it makes me happy. And you all want to make me happy. I'm sure you do. So do that. Go to the website yourmaclifeshow.com and subscribe to Your Mac Life. Just opening up the subscription folder here, and I'm going to Brian, you've already said stop 8 times. Stop it. You're not going to be able to participate this time around. Someone else besides Brian say stop. Mosquito says stop. All right, thanks, Mosquito. This is going to go. You guys are just goofy. David Ramsey. Congratulations to David Ramsey in New Orleans. One of my favorite cities. David Ramsey in New Orleans. You won a copy of Pixelmator from the nice folks at pixelmator.com. Let's see. Is there anything else? Any other emails that you guys have sent me? Just me to check real quick to my emails. Here we go. Jared, I got your email. Thanks very much. You won a copy of Backblaze. I'll send that off to you, and I will send off the information to Mr. Ramsey in Louisiana later on tonight. Folks, that's it for tonight's show. Thank you guys very much for joining us. Remember, if you're in the Vancouver area in October, let me know. I'm doing the Starting Point Photography Secrets Revealed class at the beautiful Van Dusen Gardens in October, 2 Saturdays in October. So if you want to come down, please let me know. Or if you're in the Prince George, British Columbia area, September 20th, we're doing a half-day tips and tricks class, along with a walk around the gardens there in Prince George, at the Prince George Civic Center. So check that out if you have a chance. Website, startingpointphotography.com. Until next week, as always, appreciate you guys being tuned in. I've been Shawn King, and you've been listening to Your Mac Life. See ya!